Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are doing a revised review of the Chromia blockchain. First off, if this is your first time hearing us talk about Chromia, we need to preface this with the following. Right now, DeFi is hot. It is what is happening in blockchain. And frankly, nobody argues that DeFi isn't the future of cryptocurrency and blockchain as we know it right now. It's going to transform the world of finance. And anybody who doesn't believe this yet, well, we're seeing them become believers real time. If you don't believe that it's the case, well, we'll check in with you next week because we think that you're going to be a believer too. So when we were approached by Chromia to do this paid review, and yes, we were paid a small amount of Chromia tokens to do this review. First off, they did not ask us to read any kind of a script that was handed to us, and we did not provide our finished results or our opinions to them for approval. What follows is entirely based on Nicole's research and our shared opinions. But we're ultra excited to talk about Chromia in that it deals with second layer scaling solutions and smart contracts, which is the cornerstone and basis of DeFi. So, Nicole, let's jump in head first. What the heck is Chromia anyway?
Yep. Okay. Chromia is a relational blockchain, and that's definitely a buzzword for this project. It's a dApp development platform that might be considered a competitor to Ethereum, EOS, Tron, etc. Chromia is a general purpose blockchain with full smart contract capabilities, but they claim it's easier to code or build applications with because of the RHEL. Is it RHEL? Is that how it's correctly pronounced?
Yes.
Programming language, which combines the power of SQL and normal languages, but is secured on a blockchain. So according to a representative for the company, the language requires up to 1/10 the code lines that other blockchain code requires.
That sounds promising for developers for sure.
Yeah, at 1/10 the lines, that's...
Well, hopefully it becomes, it attracts more talent because of that, and it attracts young development talent that wants to use programming languages other than just Solidity.
Yep. So what are its purposes?
Glad you asked. Goal is to become the #1 infrastructure, or their goal is to become the #1 infrastructure for decentralized applications, providing users with a platform to develop completely decentralized applications securely. Chromia aims to solve decentralized applications scalability problem. This has been a sore point in the Ethereum development community, starting with CryptoKitties, where Ethereum almost broke.
All right, so ready?
Yeah.
Your favorite part of this, and that's who started the project, who's on the executive team, what are their qualifications and credentials. This project started in 2014, and the actual combined expertise of those who are on the team is really notable because we're talking about Bitcoin OGs, Color Notes developers, right?
Color Coins, yes.
Color Coins, okay. So who are the founders? Henrik, I'm going to butcher this last name, Helte. He's the co-founder and CEO. He has an MSc in economics. He was a senior consultant in finance and IT, and now has over 25 years experience as a developer. He's an OG Bitcoiner. Or Perlman, the co-founder and the COO, has a law degree. He's also a Bitcoin OG, was co-founder of SafeBit Bitcoin, one of the earliest Bitcoin wallets. Then we have Alex Mizrahi, co-founder and CTO. He has an MSc in applied mathematics. He's worked as a software developer for over 20 years, and he worked on Colored Coins, which is the project Vitalik left to work on Ethereum. Who are the advisors? Yusel Cho, she's an MIT grad, a venture partner at FBG Capital, and has an impressive history in information synthesis. Guy Coram. Guy has many years of varied experience working with startup financing, cybersecurity, and cryptocurrency. Danny Yang has a PhD in computer science. He's the founder of Blockseer, an analytics tool for blockchain transactions and applications, and MyCoin, a Bitcoin services platform. So how was the project funded? Was it an ICO? How many credits or coins were issued? And were there any directives on what those tokens were for and the plans for the future creation of staked coins?
I'm glad you asked, Nicole. Well, Chromia raised $11.7 million in private and public token sales. And the breakdown is as follows. The private sale raised the equivalent of about $9.7 million, or the equivalent of 19.4% of their max coin supply. And then an IEO on KuCoin raised the public equivalent of $2 million, or about 4% of their max coin supply. The team received about 2.9% of the max supply, the founders 4.5%, the advisors 1.92%, the promotion fund, and that's key, 25%. So quite a bit towards just getting the word out. The ecosystem, 37.2%, because they are a DApp development platform. They know that they need to incentivize those who want to build. And then the automatic conversion contract tokens, 3%. And finally, the compensation pool is the remaining 2%. And we've got a link in the finish article at mindyour.biz/Chromia to the Binance research article for the token release schedule. But let's talk about the tech. What goes into Chromia as a platform?
So Chromia does use proof of stake as their consensus algorithm. It's an ERC20 token, but will have a native token once their mainnet launches in Q3 of this year. And then Chromia can handle 500 transactions per second. As far as layers and services, there are games that are being built on Chromia. There's a game, Mines of Delarnia, which is pretty fun to play. Has cool graphics.
Very cool. Okay, I foresee us doing a follow-up episode where it is a versus game in Mines of Delarnia.
Ooh, I'm in.
You, me, and probably somebody in the audience who's going to actually show us how to play it for real.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what is the deal with the coins? What's their value? What's their circulating supply, max supply? Where are they sold or used?
So right now, the current value of the coins, actually, let me go ahead and go through this. So CHR, let's talk about that at first. It currently exists as an ERC20 token, but it will also be a native token. Unlike some other projects, Chromia will not require users to swap tokens when the mainnet goes live. Both
I
tokens,
think that's cool.
Right.
Makes it so much easier.
Yeah. As opposed to worrying about whether or not everything is burned or worrying about compliance before everything is potentially burned or having a burn date that people just don't comply with.
Or having people say, I'm not going to buy that because I don't want to deal with the hassle of, moving it or, converting the tokens. Yeah.
Yeah. Or finding people who were in non-compliant territories saying like, oops, did I buy that? Yeah. I mean, we see this. We've seen this on ERC20 tokens in the past and token sales in the past, even IEOs, right? This stuff just happens. People fall through the cracks occasionally. But the current value is 0.0327. Let me get this right. So let me talk about it in cents instead of dollars. It is 3.271957 cents to the US dollar. The circulating supply is 326,392,548 as of the time of writing. The total supply proposed is 410 million. Rather, the total supply.
So that's actually different from the max supply.
Yes. So this is different from the circulating supply as well. The total current supply is 410 million, even though the circulating supply is less than that. So clearly there are some locked up. But the max supply proposed is 1 billion and will be changed to 978 million and change because the team burned 21.9 million tokens just last month or the month before last. So where is it sold? Sold on Binance, BitHum, Bilaxy, CoinDCX, KuCoin, of course, where it had its IEO. It is sold on BitMax, Poloniex, Hotbit, Binance Jex, Bittrex, and Bidesk. And I'm sure after this video airs, there may be other exchanges as well. Where is it used? It's used to pay block rewards. It's used to pay network transaction fees. And of course, all of that is to say that it will be instrumental in DApp function as well. So let's talk about what's coming up and what there is to look forward to in project development.
So much. Okay. So their Bootstrap mainnet is already live and the MVP mainnet will be released in Q3. They're launching a blockchain project incubator. They're hosting blockchain gaming conferences, workshops, and meetups, building engagement in the blockchain crypto industry, as well as outside of it, attracting new users, not just competing over the ones who are already here. They are providing online and face-to-face tutorials to engage with dApp developers. They're developing relationships with corporate clients who are interested in integrating Chromia into their existing services. They're launching incentive programs to encourage systems providers to run nodes on Chromia. They have plans to enable staking of the coin. They have plans to partner with more gaming studios, startups, and enterprises. They're building local communities with ambassador programs. They're partnering with external incubator and accelerator programs, attracting new talent. And they're organizing hackathons around the world to attract more developers.
Oh, that is so cool.
So what are some of the pros and cons that you see with this project, that we both see with this project?
Well, let's go ahead and start with the pros. We'll keep it positive at first.
Mm-hmm.
No, I almost kind of will start with the cons. Now that I just said that. No. We'll save the worst for last. Haha, I kid. But the pros are that the founder's experience coupled with the experience of those on their advisory board and their executive team it's just massively impressive. And we talked about this before off camera. We've talked about it on previous occasions, that their advisory team, it's like a who's who of people involved in crypto. Guy Korem, just to single one out, I recently published a review of another project that Guy is involved with. He's very heavily involved, and I won't say that he has the Midas touch. Nobody in this space does exactly per se, but the team just is so accomplished. And that's hard to ignore on a project like this. The project has been around for some time, which could lead to greater investor confidence and decreased risk of an exit scam. I'll say that combined with the team itself. Mm-hmm. Definitely very low risk of an exit scam. They've put in a lot of work, and frankly, they have nowhere to hide. The world knows them. They're known quantities.
Yeah.
Neither Nicole nor I are programmers, but if RHEL programming language is so much easier to use than Solidity, if it's as easy as they say, it seems like a lot of developers should be drawn to Chromia because at bare minimum, they can use tools that are more comfortable and maybe even more familiar to languages that they already use on a daily basis. The team is very actively engaged with the community via social channels and on the Reddit-like messaging system. They have their own social media platform or bulletin board system. And then, unlike many blockchain projects, Chromia generates real revenue. Fancy that. It doesn't depend solely on the price of the coin pumping to fund development or pay their core team. Through their various corporate partnerships, Chromia has generated over $850,000 so far in 2020. And I mean, we're only halfway through. So they're earning enough to pay a small core team of developers just from that revenue. That's awesome.
And it makes sense that we just mentioned this really quick right here, that there's an recently published article from Guy Malone, who is our liaison with Chromia, about all of the real world use cases and Chromia's model for generating revenue.
Awesome. And we'll have a link to that, of course, as you see down in the finished article on mindyour.biz/Chromia. Mm-hmm. But the CHR offers payment options that are very different from some blockchains now. Chromia allows dApp owners to include fees in sidechains, so the owner incurs the upfront cost, thus enabling free transactions for the user. Ever been stopped in your tracks trying to use a dApp on other platforms because there was some kind of a network fee for you as the user? Chromia is trying to solve that problem.
Or at least it gives developers the option to enable that.
Yeah, so if you know that dApp is being developed on Chromia, be that squeaky wheel as a user. You guys pay the cost. The graphics, and then on the pros, Nicole has listed the graphics on the mines of Delarnia. And I think that is super important. That's super important to be able to launch a product offering people actually want to use.
In relation to some other blockchain games,
Yeah, it matters. It matters. User experience matters. Yeah. When you're talking about dApps and when you're talking about blockchain-based games, I mean, people don't go buy AAA video game titles because they've got really interesting wordplay. I mean, that hasn't been the case since the 1990s. We want stuff that actually looks good to look at. So, sure, graphics on the Mines of Delarnia.
Particularly projects like this are targeting, projects like this that are targeting adoption beyond those who have already accepted cryptocurrency.
100%. Let's talk about the cons, though. Information about the founding team is not apparent from the website. Again, I just did a scroll through here, as you see on the video, and the team is not front and center on the website. It would be great to see more about them because, as we talked about, both the advisory board and the core team members, getting to know them would inspire confidence. We think it would be great to see them and have it be more forthcoming.
There is a team page. It's just that it's not readily available on the website. I had to go through some back channels to get a link to it.
Exactly. If it were front and center, it would, I think we both agree, it would help the project perform even better because people kind of have some confidence in these characters and in their past work. So being able to see that would be an improvement. But Nicole mentions in the article, she's a little bit confused about this being a competitor to Ethereum when it itself is an ERC20 token. Though it exists as both an ERC20 and a native token, how can it compete with something that it has a token on? It's a reasonable question. For my part, I'm a little less concerned about it because it will also have the native token. And I think we both agreed that it's nice that they'll have both, in that there won't be any kind of mainnet launch confusion or coin burn confusion when the mainnet launches. However, to your point, they're kind of feeding the competitor by having that token exist. So,
right. And building on the platform itself,
Right. So yeah, some would say, hey, just go ahead and burn your bridge or burn your boats, not your bridges, but burn your boats after you arrive to the promised land. Right. So if you have no intention of leaving, if you think you've arrived with this new platform, then, why not burn your boats?
This isn't uncommon in cryptocurrency, right? Like EOS was a competitor to Ethereum that was built on Ethereum.
Right. But they went mainnet and they, So totally agreed. This could be considered a con, especially for some investors where it may affect their confidence. Let's talk about how the last couple of cons here, not a very long list, but some would argue that anything that complies with the existing regulatory landscape is inherently flawed or not good enough, and definitely not cypherpunk enough.
Sure.
That's valid on this show. We tend to have a little bit of a libertarian bent and a little bit of a, middle finger to the man kind of posture on the show, just a bit. But your mileage may vary. If you're watching this and wondering, hey, is this something that's going to affect my worldview or affect my portfolio, right? Or my considerations when investing in a project? Well, first off, this is not intended to be investment advice.
Never. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, not at all. We're just saying that by some, it could be viewed as being too compliant with regulations that many crypto purists and cypherpunks think are problems for the world in terms of replacing broken systems with better systems. So there's that. And then finally, there's a lot of information out there on this project, but it's fairly disorganized. Nicole says that she's been looking at them reorganizing the website, rebuilding the website. But she and I both agree that looking at the website and in dealing with and navigating the website to look for specific resources that were helpful in us becoming educated on this project.
It was time consuming.
Yeah, they can't rebuild this thing fast enough. It would be great to see them make a quantum leap there. But let's talk about final thoughts, though.
Okay, so Chromia is quickly climbing the ranks. It's moved from in the 500s to number 247 as of July 1st, 2020, in the last 4 months alone. While this indicates increased investor confidence in the project, I wonder if Chromia will continue to outpace other projects that haven't experienced the same growth rate. While I think it's smart to have the automatic conversion contract to enable ETH holders to smoothly engage in the Chromia community, I wonder if having that built in is a concession of some kind, effectively omitting ETH's network effect. If so, I wonder what timeline this project has in mind for overtaking that, since Chromia is aiming to be the #1 infrastructure for decentralized applications. How many years or months or decades do they think it will take before competitors are building on Chromia with the eventual goal of overtaking it? So I'm kind of old and I couldn't quickly figure out how to play the Mines of Delarnia game. I've played it since I wrote this a little bit, and I want my daughter to play with it and see how intuitive it is, but she's been out of town. So I have questions about the two tokens and the correlation of their value. Will the ERC20 token and the Chromia native token always have the same trading value? And if so, how is that going to be maintained? Chromia gives the option for dApp owners to make transactions free. How's this different or better from free transactions, from the way that free transactions are enabled on something like EOS? And then I'm just curious, how is Ethereum's core team talking about Chromia right now? Are they acting like they're concerned this project might be real competition? For a brief touch on the shared history with Ethereum, read the link in this article on miner.biz/Chromia. And on Colored Coins break with Bitcoin, there's another link. But I still want to look into the current relationship between the communities.
Yeah, that makes two of us there. I think we were talking about how there was a known break. Well, it's kind of a double break actually with Charles Hoskinson. I think we were especially eager to try to get Charles Hoskinson's take on the Colored Coins project initially, which then morphed into this project, Chromia, over time. But because he himself worked on Ethereum, but has since moved on from Ethereum into Cardano as his primary focus at the moment. But it seems like there's so many, it's such a small pond, so to speak. And some of these guys, these OGs, they've been around to see all of these changes, and it would be very valuable to see what some of the competitors and former allies of projects like this think now. Why did they part ways? Did they think that there was some kind of a fundamental flaw in systems like this and in new dApp ecosystems like this? So, yeah, we don't have answers to that today, but I think valuable questions there.
Yeah, I think it would be great to get someone from Chromia on sometime to like ask some more of our questions, and maybe even have that person teach us how to play Mines of Delarnia.
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah, anything that involves gameplay plus blockchain, so we can kind of pretend like we're working. Well, kind of
while we play video games,
slacking a little bit. Yeah, right. Awesome.
Cool. Well, so this has been our coin review of Chromia. Let us know what you think. What did we miss? Yeah. What kind of questions would you have for the team? Do you want to see someone from the team on?
Yeah, and be honest, of course. If you would prefer that we play hardball with these visitors, of course, we're not going to abuse any of our guests on the show. But let us know what kinds of really tough questions you have, because we're unafraid of asking those questions politely and politely persisting until we get answers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. So this has been Mind Your Biz. See ya.
Yeah, we don't know to sign off for this one.
Oh wait, look at my shirt.
Hey, we've got the Satoshi HODL shirt inspired by Shepard Fairey, but designed by our own Nerd Girl 007. You can find that following the link that you see if you're on YouTube that's hovering over this video, and of course in mindyour.biz/shop.